Hi everyone, this is Board Games Bourbon. I'm Glenn Flaherty, and right now I want to show you Siege of Valeria, which is a one-player survival game, although you can play it with more players. It takes 30 to 45 minutes, and I designed it. And so I want to show you how to set it up and play it. Now, the thrust of the game is that you are the last standing castle in the south of Valeria, and you are the only thing stopping the hordes from destroying and ransacking Valeria as a whole. They're coming in wave after wave, kind of like British soldiers trying to break through all of your turrets, and you need to survive 7 days without letting them do that. There are not only going to be the troops coming at you, there are boss cards essentially called Seige Engines that are the big baddies at the back of the columns working their way towards you. They're going to be at different ranges that will do damage if they are in range, and you can attack them for different values depending how far back they are. Now, in the game, you're going to start with some dice, okay? You have 5 reds and 2 blues, or in other words, strength and magic, and you're going to roll them. Now, the value of the dice is not necessarily good or bad depending on its number, because in certain situations, apparently weak dice like a 1 can actually become very powerful. But those are combinations you're going to need to discover on your own, because winning the game, and it is always possible to win the game, it was mathed out that you can win it. It requires clever combinations, a little bit of a gamble, but you always have a shot. But it is a game that's going to make you question all the decisions that you made beforehand. In a way, it kind of reminds me of Death Angel, which was one of my favorite solo survival games. Okay, so how do we play the game? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get this big deck of baddies here, okay? And these are essentially the enemies that are going to go right here. You're going to take 2, and you're going to put them in your hand. 2 are going to go out of the game, and then this is your deck, and it also acts as your timer in the game. And you're going to lay out 5 columns and make them 4 rows high. Then there are the Siege Engines. The Siege Engines, you're going to take 5 out of the game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That helps randomize what you're going to deal with. You're going to put 1 on top of every column. Okay, you are going to have a deck over here of champions. Now, champions, when you defeat a siege engine, they are going to arrive, they're encouraged, and they come to help the cause. Now, this one here, for example, Sister Alina says, once per round, it will add a 1 blue magic attack against a red bannered enemy. And that's great because magic in this game, and like Valeria as a whole, not only attacks cards that require magic, but can also augment red. And so that's a lot of flexibility in there. And then you're going to have event cards. And event cards come out once per round, and they throw twists in the game. When you're learning the game, you don't have to use them, but they are an interesting little thing to add. And this one here says, Final Push. Towering above the goblins around the siege engine, a goblin warmonger cracks his whip. He pulls out a horn made of tin and blows. The discordant sound rallies the goblins, and they surge onto the siege engine, eager to protect it and ensure its next shot will be the one that brings down your walls. Add 2 strength tokens to the closest siege engine. Okay, so that's the effect that would take place, and we're going to do that in a second here. Okay, so the first step in the game, what you're going to do is you're going to take the dice that you have and you're going to roll them. So let's go ahead. Step 1, roll your dice. Okay, we have 1 blue, a 5 blue. We have a 6 red, great, a 5 red. We have a 4 red, a 4 red. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have a 2 blue. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to activate the siege engines here. Now, like I said, the siege engines are going to have different distances away they might activate, and there are different ones in the game that you can deal with. So let's take a look at one here called the catapult. And you can see that there's a Vanguard, which is always the enemies closest to you. Then there is row 2, 3, 4, and 5. In 4 and 5, that's a black number. It means it's at a range. It won't attack you, but you can't attack it if you want to spend 14 strength. However, if it is in the Vanguard 2 or 3, it will attack you. And their effect is you have to re-roll one of your number 6 die. And they have different things. Some of them are really bad, like they'll make you discard dice. That's really harrowing to deal with. Okay, so as we go down, I'm just going to call them out really fast. This one here is called Gargan's Eye. It only activates in row 2, 3, and 4, not activating. The Flaming Rain activates in 1, 3, or 5, and this is row 5. It does activate, and it says I discarded champion, but it's the beginning of the game. No champion has arrived, so we don't have to deal with it. Over here, it's called Ogre's Reach, activates in 1 and 2. Again, it's not in 1 and 2, so we're fine. This Siege Engine here, the Trebuchet, activates in 1, 2, 3, 4. The only one it doesn't activate in is 5, so it doesn't activate. And lastly, this one over here, the Gargan's Eye, again on the far side, activates in 2, 3, and 4. Nothing occurs. Okay, so we're fine there. Then our event comes out. And like I read before on the final push, it says to add 2 strength to the closest Siege Engine. Now, they're all equidistant, so I'm just going to put it right here. Doesn't really matter where it goes. And now we're going to apply our dice. Now, the thing to remember is these enemies are all trying to attack us. If at the end of a round, any enemy is on our wall, they are going to give us damage. They're going to perish in the process, but that damage brings us closer to losing. Now, each of our turrets can take a total of 4 damage. 1 and 2 damage, we're fine. If 3 damage arrives, what that means is we lose the capacity to have a champion join us. We start with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 capacity for champions, but it will reduce it 1 at a time. If a 4th damage arrives, we lost the game. We're also going to lose the game if the Siege Engines, any of them, get on our wall, because they're going to bust through, of course, because they're huge and they're right there. Okay, so we rolled our dice, we did the Siege Engines, we did our event, now we're going to apply our dice. So we probably have to decide, do we want to get rid of these enemies or do we want to go up the columns and get to the Siege Engines? Well, let's take a look at the cards that we got as our starting powers. I have one here called an Orc Archer. It says, my power says I can gain and roll 1 red die. I'm going to do that right away, that's huge. So I'm going to discard this card. I'm going to gain 1 die. Roll it, and it's a 3. Okay, I accept that. And then this other card here says, this is the Rune Witch. Reroll any number of unused dice. Okay, so looking here, what do I have? Well, you know what? I'm going to do that right now. I have a number 1 blue. That's pretty low. A 2 red. I have a 3 red. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and re-roll those, see if I get higher numbers. Let's see what we have here. And they mostly came out higher. I have a 5 red now. I have a 6 blue, fantastic, and I have a 2 red. I have a 2 strength. Okay, so what are we going to do? All right, so what do I have here? I have a Rune Witch that requires 2 magic and 2 strength. I can definitely take that person out, but I have a 5 and a 6 magic, so I might want to go higher. This Ifrit Eflam requires 4 magic and 5 strength. I'm going to take that person out. Here's a 5 magic to attack the 4 magic, a 5 strength for the 5 strength. Boom, that person's out of here. All right, we're going to go ahead and take that card out, add that to my hand. Okay, this says that the power of that card there says that I can spend 2 magic to overkill an adjacent Siege Engine. That is huge. And what does that mean? What does overkill mean? What that means is if you are able to attack an enemy, you can attack an adjacent enemy, not for the full price of that enemy, but just for the +2 that this says here. So using this timely and judiciously is really going to be to your benefit. Huge card to have. Okay, I have a Goblin Warrior here. It says it has a strength of 3. I will apply a 4 there, defeat that card. I'm going to get that out of here. Now what this says is in the future, I can apply or subtract 1 to any die. Why would I want to subtract 1 to a die? I'm going to let you figure that out, but that can really get you out of a jam. Moving on, I have a Lycan Mage here. It says 4 magic. I have a 6 magic, and it says a 4 strength. I have a 5 strength. I'm going to apply that, defeat that card. That's going to go out. All right. They're going to come out here, and their power is I can spend +2 red strength to overkill any adjacent red or blue bannered enemy. Great. Okay, hold on. Okay, huge. Oh, but I don't have any. Oh, yeah, I can totally do that. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to use this card now. I'm going to attack this Troll Brute. I'm going to apply 10. I'm going to put a 6 die and a 4 die there. I'm going to apply 10. It says 7, but I'm over by 3. This card says if I spend 2, I can kill an adjacent enemy. So I'm going to spend this card right now. I'm not only going to defeat this card and have it go into my hand, and this says I can change 1 die to a 6. Nice. I did the overkill feature. I'm going to take out the card above it, and that is going to be a Gargan Priest, and this says I can block the effect of 1 Siege Engine. Huge, especially if I want to block that Siege Engine that makes me discard a red and a blue die. Now, it's important to know, too, that when I play, I am attacking the cards that are in the front. And what that means is kind of like the British and, soldiers when they come. I am able to see the soldiers right in front of me. But as I defeat cards, now I can see different troops. I can see this person, I can see these 3, and I can see this person, even though they're in the 3rd row. Okay? Okay. So I just used that, and I think I only have I'm not sure. Well, there's 10 dice here. Let's pretend I use that. I have a number 2 die. Now, what can I do with a die? Now, had I planned better, sometimes I can use dice better, but leftover dice also do have a good benefit. Should I have damage on my turrets, I can remove 1 damage from a turret by discarding a die, right? Discard die, get rid of that. I can also get rid of damage by discarding champions if they're here. Okay, now with that being said, now what I'm going to do is advance the troops and take damage. So the only person left on my front line is this right here, the Rune Witch. The Rune Witch is going to give me damage. They perish in the action of doing so. They go away. And now everyone advances. They're all coming closer towards me. Dun 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 dun. Now that's really tough because this person has a lot of strength. They're getting closer to me. Okay. Now, all of these columns already have a siege engine on top, so I don't have to add any more siege engines to the game. But I do always add 4 troops. 4 reinforcements always arrive, left to right, top to bottom. So I'm going to add them right here. 1, 2, and this is pretty low. So actually, I'm going to fill in the lowest first, right? 1, 2, 3. 4, like that. Really what you want to do is you add cards is you want to keep it as even as you can. So left to right, and then you move from bottom to top. So you're starting there, right? Left to right, boom, and then on the top like that. So now they have arrived. And then again, you're going to go through the process where you roll the die, you check the siege engines, you do your effect, and then you apply your die. Now, did any of these come into range? Yes. Now, this siege engine over here is now in range. It's in the 4th row. And this says I have to spend 1 red and 1 blue. Okay, so at the moment, because I gained some dice earlier, I actually have 6 reds. And I have 2 blues. This card says for this round, I have to spend a red and a blue. Eek! So I'll probably just take these 2 and put them away. This one over here, the Flaming Rain, is out of range because it's in row 4. It only activates in 1, 2, and 3. This one right here only activates in 1 and 2. We're still okay. This one over here says it activates in 1, 2, 3, or 4, and I have to add damage to the turret below me. Damage is already here. And then over here, this says this activates in 2, 3, or 4, which it is. And it says, oh my gosh, once again, spend a red and a blue. I'm out of blue for this round. But I did defeat a lot of enemies last time, so I have a lot of cards that I can use to help me get out of the situation. Okay, but anyway, that is how you're going to set up and play, basically, Siege of Valeria. Now, this does have a campaign mode that has a lot of cool stuff that I want you to discover, a lot of other things you might not expect. But that's how you play. If you have any questions about what to do or what things mean or why cards say what they do, I am happy to answer it. And until next time, friends, be well. Bye.